Are you an attorney who is trying to figure out how on earth can I become human? It's not to say that attorneys are not human. Attorneys are so smart, they're so good at what they do, but sometimes they lack that human component where really the engagement with their client can be so much better. Well, I have a really special treat for you today. I have the Attorney Humanizer, I'm going to call him. Matter of fact, that's the first time I've said that. My name is Chris Chudacoff. Welcome to my podcast. I call it my interview with my friends. Today I've got such a good friend of mine who really is trying to transform the way attorneys can look at their brand and look at who they are and humanize themselves for the clients. I'm not looking to make a referral to you. I'm looking to make an introduction to someone who is the best in the business. So I'm really excited that I get to spend some time with my friend, Gary Johnson. So let me tell you a quick story. Gary, welcome to the hot seat. How are you today, brother?
Fantastic. And thank you, Chris. I love the endeavor that you have set in regards to getting people great content. I've watched the other ones before, and I'm privileged to be here. So thank you. This will be fun.
Well, for those of you who don't know Gary, that's the nicest thing he's ever said to me, because his sarcasm and rhetoric is on the highest level, which is one of the reasons why so many of us adore and love him. So Gary, let's just jump into really the funnest part of our next few minutes together. Are you ready?
Let's do it. Yeah.
How bad do you cry when the Broncos suck almost every year? Now that John Elway and Peyton Manning are gone, like where did the Broncos come from? What was the genesis of it? Why are you so psychotic about them? And when are you going to realize that they're not maybe the best team in the AFC?
I hate to tell this story because it's so stupid, but when I was a little kid, my favorite soft drink was the Orange Crush.
Oh, I love the Orange Crush.
And at that time, the defense for the Broncos was known as the Orange Crush.
That's right.
And my dad was not into football at all. And I'm like, Orange Crush, I'm going to be a Broncos fan. That's it. Literally, that's it.
How old were you?
Like, let's go. So, but at the same time, yes, we've had such a drought since Super Bowl 50, which we won, happened. And wait, when was the last time the Titans went to the Super? My memory's not that great. Maybe you can fill me in on that, Chris.
Thank God your memory is short on that. Mine too. I try not to think of it.
By the way, but I do have to say this, and this is a full compliment. Congratulations, you got the number 1 pick.
It's such a double-edged sword when you like this is the only thing I'll say about the Titans and being a lifelong fan. Here's my luck. They're so bad that in the year they get the first pick, they can't even, I hope Cam Ward surprises us, right? And I think he's got what it takes. But it's like my life is so imperfect with sports because it's like the one year they suck the most. Like, can't they even have a decent, better quarterback draft, right? There's no guarantees,
yes.
But it's like it was him or Shedeur Sanders. I'm like, okay, I guess we'll take Cam Ward and see how it plays out.
I think Cam Ward's going to be good for you guys. Honestly, I really do. I think he's going to be great.
We're going to hope so.
We'll see.
I want to tell you, the name of my podcast, let me tell you a quick story, was designed because my producers, Jake and Jeremy, came up with it because I say it a lot. I'm going to tell you a quick story. Addiction runs rampant in my family. That my wife is now a trauma addiction therapist at the Orange County Rescue Mission. And she hasn't met all of my friends from Provisors, but she's met a number of them. The first night she met you was at Sar Swartzen's anniversary, right? For the thing.
Yep.
And of course she was attracted to you, not in a physical way, obviously.
Oh no, it was physical.
The only bald guy she likes is me. But when we left you and your wife, she was so funny. She's like, that guy is hilarious. And she looks at me and she goes, he's either a comedian or a recovering alcoholic. That's what she said. because the people with personalities in our lives that are that funny are either people that are true, comedians in nature, or people that are in some sort of recovery. And I'm like, babe, he's the right guy for the job. That's for sure. She is so in tune. She just picked up on that comedy and she loved She loves the
Wow.
satire and the rhetoric. God forbid she gets enough from me, but she definitely picked
Yeah.
that up on you quickly.
Oh, I love that too. I mean, yeah, as a recovering alcoholic, I am like honored that
Yeah.
she would even put me in there. Like that's
Well,
a good one. I love that.
It's a certain personality trait. You know this. I have 4 direct family members that have and or are battling. When you get us all into a room and everyone's in a good space, boy, you could put a YouTube camera on there and that would get some views for some fun satire and rhetoric. So enough of the fun stuff. Let me promote you for a little bit. And I had the pleasure of meeting you in our networking group of all places, Provisors, here in Southern California. And, it's an attorney-centric group, although there's a lot of other categories that are in there. And full transparency, when I first met you, I'm like, who's coaching attorneys? Like, are they coaching them to become a better entrepreneur? Are they coaching them on how to use QuickBooks? Are they, oh, wait, they're trying to humanize them? They're trying to get them in front of a camera? They're attorneys. They need humanizing. Not all attorneys need that. So let me just do a quick plug for you. I have watched you help transform some lives of some mutual friends that we have, because you have this gift on how to humanize them, how to put them on a camera, or how to get them in front of people where people start to think, wait a second, that's not just the smartest person in the room. They're totally funny, or where did the desire come to try and help people really change their mindset? Because that's a really hard task. Like, where is it that you thought, I'm going to help this person get out of their comfort zone, get out of their uncomfortable skin, and really show the power that they have as a human being, and then help them kind of, put that into their career?
Yeah, great question. I think it was probably in regards to I have always been in business development. Ever since I graduated, actually even before that, when I had my very first job at Trader Joe's.
Nice.
I was
best produce in the country.
Yeah, and I was like, this was back in Laguna Hills, where we were right next to what is now Laguna Woods.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And it was all 80-year-old women. And I would be like, oh, this is the great one, or this. And they're like, oh, thank you. And I thought, wow, I can influence other people, but do it authentically, because I think there's a difference between influence and manipulation. Manipulation is where I win, you lose. And usually there is a lot of lying, that goes along with that. As opposed to influence, what somebody who is effective at doing that is they ask questions. They get to know somebody, and then they realize, okay, this would be really good for them. Now it's my turn to influence them based on what they told me. But I would say one of the biggest secrets to great business development success is to be really good at your questioning and really good at your listening. Because if you do that, you're going to get all the information that you need from the person to say, I would be a really good fit for you, or I would not be a good fit for you. And I've seen this done firsthand by you, Chris, because you did this, with Julie and I. And we were like, well, this and well, this and well, this. And it's just a conversation. It's not a close. It's just a conversation. I just want to have a conversation. Let's just see if this is right. But utilizing that information allows you to influence people. And as I was doing this, I saw people who were doing it very unethically. And I wanted to right that ship, And even when, we talked earlier about Carl. When I worked for Carl, I was in charge of sales training. I had to train, the 50 to 60 salespeople that were in there that were hardcore aggressive sales.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Carl and I stuck to is don't lie. Don't lie.
Yeah, keep it simple.
Well, that means you got to get really smart. That means you can't cut corners. That means
right.
you got to do it right, But when you would see them land these huge deals and do it in a really authentic way, it opens up their minds. They're like, oh my God, I can do this. Now, fast forward, attorneys hate doing business development. They all say, I didn't go to law school to do marketing and business development. you're right. But in order to get the work, you got to bring it in. So there's this wonderful dichotomy. And when you can show them to do it and they go, oh shit, this isn't that hard.
Yeah.
One of the biggest compliments is, Gary, I don't know why I'm paying you so much money. This stuff's easy.
Right.
You're like, yeah, go back to doing the complicated way where you don't feel authentic, where you're like, I have to put on a mask during this time. And then in this event, I got to put on another mask. And then I got to put on another mask. That is exhausting in and of itself. Plus, people see right through that. And it's like, okay, which mask was I today? Was I this mask, or was I this mask, or this persona? Be you. Be you, and when you can bring that out in somebody, you really do see them transform, and they connect with people too. The bullshit meter is always on, especially with very wealthy individuals that need legal help.
And attorneys, right? You combine wealthy
and
individuals
attorneys.
with attorneys, their radar's up like big time, right? More so than just even the normal consumer of the world.
Yep, in a big way. So, I mean, it's fun. It's just fun watching that. And as you know, I geek out on the neuroscience of how we make decisions. And I'm always trying to learn and getting a new book here and a new book here and taking little tidbits out so that people, so I can help out my clients and also help out myself too.
And listen, I love that you talk about that neuroscience because, I went to Cal State Northridge. It took me 5 years to graduate. I'm not that smart. I like mortgages and I like real estate finance, but even the word neuroscience, I don't know if it's NEU or NUE, but where I'm getting at is so two quick things. Let me just kind of uncover something you said for a second. Yeah. Don't you agree with me that your life's really probably more like a therapist to these people? Right. And again, I know it's not a hard close. It's not a hard sale. You're asking questions, you're listening, but really you almost become this therapist to a certain degree to figure out how are they going to choose to come out of their comfort zone versus me trying to force them out of their comfort zone. Is that a fair statement that you should be like Gary Johnson, J2 Marketing therapeutic specialist or something like that?
No. So I appreciate that. However, that's what coaching is all about. We understand the strengths and the weaknesses. We work on the strengths so that they can elevate that to a whole nother level. And then if we can get rid of the weaknesses, i.e. don't do that stuff, especially when it comes to marketing and business development, we do that. But I do get what you're saying is because a lot of people have limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
And one of the things we work on is limiting beliefs. I mean, I have with every single one of my clients a confidentiality clause. Because I need them to tell me, I don't want to do this. And here's the reasons why.
Yeah, right.
And we're not talking about family, like my parents screwed me up and any of that kind of stuff. But they may say, look, I don't feel confident. I'm very insecure when it comes to this. And you go, let's work on that. Yeah. Or we can say, I get it. And let's put that to the side because it's irrelevant. Is completely irrelevant. Yeah. We don't even need to deal with that, especially when somebody has deep trauma and you're like, okay, there's a trigger there. I don't want to constantly be triggering that. Let's just put it over to the side because the best thing about marketing is there's not one size fits all.
That's right.
So you're not like, oh, here we go and here we go, and I hate it when marketing agencies are like, everybody needs, and then this bullshit. It's absolute bullshit, because they could. Some people, absolutely. Other people, you don't need that.
Yeah, and based on everyone's appetite and skill set,
and your target market.
Yeah, everyone's going to want something different. Now
right.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, target market, as we talk about marketing business development, is such an important element that most people just don't think about. And I'll give you an example of how it can save a crap load of money. I was at a provisor meeting with one of my clients who's a family law attorney. And the subject of the meeting was, what are you going to do going into summertime to keep business development and marketing going? And another family law attorney stood up and said, I'm doubling down on my SEO and Google ads. I'm currently paying $7,000 a month. I want to do 14. And my client leans over and goes, this guy's an idiot. Why would he ever spend that amount of money on a monthly basis? Until somebody said, how much do you get an ROI on that? He goes, well, on the $7,000, I get $35,000 a month ROI on it.
Right.
In which my client leans over and he's like, why the are we not talking about that? Because we never talked about SEO or Google ads.
Right.
And then it just got worse and worse and worse because the guy's like, I don't even need to do anything. All I got to do is write a check and my phone moves up the hook. Okay, my client was hot. He wanted, like, let's get out of here. We left and he read me the riot act. And he's like, I can't fucking believe this. I'm paying you all this money. And I go, are you done? He goes, yeah. Tell me who your target market is. He's like, you know who it is. And I go, just work with me.
Right.
He goes, wealthy men that have over $10 million in assets, 2 kids that live in Newport Beach, Corona Del Mar,
Right.
and Laguna Beach. I said, good. Put yourself into that person's shoes. Your wife has just told you she's leaving. Would you ever Google a divorce
Right.
attorney?
You're never going to do that.
And he was like, oh, you're right. I go, well, no. We're going to keep going with this.
Yeah.
I go, here's the thing is, you would pay this company $84,000 because with SEO and Google, it takes a while to get things going.
You got to keep pouring money into
SEO.
it. Right.
Right. And your phone is going to start ringing off the hook. You have to pay 2 people to just field that. What's their salary? Then they're going to put pressure on you. And here's the thing is, how much does that guy charge for his retainer? And he said $1,000. I go, how much do you charge? $15,000. What's his divorce? $10,000
Right.
approximately. I go,
Right.
what's yours? $50,000 to $250,000.
Right. Totally
I go, so
different
then
animal.
You would take the shit work that you don't want to deal with
Yeah.
and be pissed and spending all that money and time. I basically saved you almost $250,000 by not making that mistake. That's why you pay me so much money.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, let's all get out.
Listen, I gotta tell you something. I had a financial advisor a long time ago who was after my business. He wanted me to invest with him. And I was very happy with the person I was at. And he said to me, what's your fee? What are you paying? And I said, well, aren't you going to ask me the rest of the question? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, if you only think it's about the fee, then you're never going to get my business. You have to finish the question. And he didn't know what I was saying. I said, ask me what I'm paying compared to what's my rate of return. What's my relationship like? I said, let me tell you about my guy. Here's what I pay in a fee. He says, well, that's too high. I'm like, compared to what? What was your average rate of return for your clients last year? Oh, I made a little bit more. Oh, by the way, this person refers me about $85,000 in your business. So sometimes, like you said, like you got to ask the rest of the question, right, before you do it. Now, what I love about what you just said, and it's why I think you're so in tune with your clients, believe me, I'm complimenting you for your audience, not for our personal relationship. But
it's really uncomfortable right now.
But like I've watched you with a mutual friend of ours, a mother and daughter real estate team, very successful, not attorneys. I know you really focus on attorneys, but I also know you help other categories. And I've watched what you've done with this mother and daughter team, and they were already successful, but you've really helped them get to that other level. One of the compliments I'm going to give you is I love when you said it, like, listen, let's uncover your target audience, because I think sometimes people are so quick to say, well, why can't I have that? Well, you can't have that because that's not who you're after. And I went through a similar process in my mortgage practice years ago where I can spend $10,000 a month on leads, but then I'm only closing 2% of the 400 crappy phone calls that I'm getting, instead of, as you know, investing more time with people I know, like, and trust, and stuff like that. So I know that's one of the reasons of your success is you're unwilling to just throw something at a client to help them succeed. And if they're not going to get out of their own way, which is one of the comments I love that you made. So let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
It is hard to find that right client and not work with everyone, right? We're a for-profit business. You got mouths to feed. You got a home. You got 2 adult boys. You just got back from Amsterdam, right? We all have to make money. What is your process to determine who am I going to say no to? Like, if they don't fit kind of in this wheelhouse, I don't want to just like try and kick a can down the road. Like, what is your process for trying to really identify who can I work with? Not only am I the right fit for them, are they the right fit for me? Because you've got a reputation of hold. You've helped all these people succeed. What's that process like?
Yeah, it's an assessment that I do with everybody. And it really comes down to a couple of different factors. One is, are they coachable? Because they're doing the work. I'm not doing the work. They're doing the work. And if they're not coachable, guess what? They're not going to be able to take advice, suggestions of how can they improve their marketing and business development. It's like, why are we even in this conversation?
Yeah, right.
The other is they have to charge a lot of money for what they do. Because if they don't, there's other different marketing things that I don't do that could be really good for them. And the reason why is because I specialize in relationship marketing. That's what I specialize in. And is it right for everybody? It's not. It absolutely is not. But it's typically really good for those individuals who charge a lot of money for their services, because that's the bulk of their business is being done through referrals. But what's their plan? What's their strategy to get more referrals so that they can continue to build on those relationships, like you had said, know, like, and trust? And the other one is, what are they really trying to accomplish? Because I don't want to set expectations that are completely unrealistic. And I'll give you an example of this. I had a client refer over one of his partners to me. And the partner was like, hey, look, when I asked him, what are you trying to accomplish? He goes, I want to do $20 million next year. I said, okay. What did you do last year? And he goes, 200,000. What makes you think that you're going to be able to do that? And he goes, because Andy had referred you over. Okay. That's delusional, right? Now, I mean, in order to go from 200 to 20 million, recruiting alone is a team of people to get that many attorneys in to actually work on that type of work, plus it's delusional. So it was like, this isn't going to be a good fit. So I need to make sure that what they're trying to accomplish, I feel very strongly that I can help them get there. And then the last one is, I have a no asshole rule. I refuse to work with assholes. And it's because of the mistakes that I've made in the past where I've worked with assholes, where it's like, yeah, that's not going to happen. Because here's the thing is, I don't do as good of work as if I'm working with people that I love working with. When I love working with somebody, I'm top notch. When it's like, oh God, the person's calling me and I'm like, I don't want to. Just that alone tells me you shouldn't be working with those people. And so I don't work with assholes. I can typically tell within the first 5 minutes if the person is an asshole or not. And I usually cut it off within 5 to 10 minutes and say, hey, look, I don't think this is a good fit. However, if I think of somebody who I think you would be a good fit for, I'll let you know, which means I'm never going to talk to you again because I'm not going to think of somebody who I'm like, hey,
who I'm going to put the asshole over to.
Right, I'm going to put an asshole over to you.
Listen, let me tell you.
I don't deal with them, but you're one.
Let me tell you the only thing I heard in that beautiful dissertation of your process is that we've been friends for more than 5 minutes. So somehow I made the cut of I'm not going to hang out with asshole rules. Is that a fair statement?
That's a fair statement. Yeah.
Listen, I want to tell you, I want to tell you something. I love what you just said. And I can only affirm this because I've been through the same practice. But you made a comment when you're talking about, the no asshole rule. Quick question, and then I just want to affirm something to you. When you just launched on your own, right? You go from this good job, you're making good money, you come home and tell your wife, like, don't hate me, we're about to take on some risk here. How was that in the beginning of we're a little bit desperate when we launch on our own, right? And we may
100%.
not be able to be so strong and say, no assholes. No, we're saying like, I need every deal I can because I got a mortgage and a mouth to feed. How was it in the very beginning when you launched? Were you able to try and hold on to that rule as much as possible? Probably had to be a little more flexible with it in the beginning.
Yeah, I had to be a lot more flexible. One of the things I go over at the very beginning of a engagement is what I call a red velvet rope policy. And the red velvet rope policy is basically all the people that you want to let through as clients, and what we do is we look at all the things that we love and all the things that are non-negotiable. I didn't have a lot that was on the non-negotiable. That came later as you start to learn. But also my red velvet rope was not tight. It wasn't like, this thing is tight. You have to hit all these different things in order to come through.
Yeah.
Really what I wanted? Heartbeat and a checkbook. Come on in.
Yeah.
Like, let's go, And,
I love that.
And granted, I needed to really understand if I could help them or not, because that is true to my core.
Yeah.
But there was other things that I would kind of let through. And at my practice now, I am grateful to God that I don't have to put this red velvet rope that's really low to the ground. That it's like, anybody can step over that. I'm like, no. I need to be the gatekeeper to this to make sure that I'm doing my best work, and I do my best work with the ideal clients.
And I gotta imagine, because you've been through that failure, right, to then be able to figure out who you are going to be, not just for Gary Johnson, but for your clients as well. That one experience probably resonates deeper with your clients than maybe any of them, if not, top three, because I think so many people don't realize, like, you got to figure out who you are, and you're not going to figure out who you are if you win every time. Even the quotes from Tom Brady and Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, I know you love sports. Like, you don't hear those guys tout how many championships they have unless someone's talking shit and they need to hold up their rings or something. But this, we've talked about this. The common theme in those guys is how many championships they missed, how many shots they missed, how many Super Bowls they didn't win, the one that got away. And so I got to imagine that's because you can talk about that so freely with your client engagement, it probably helps them just get even more comfortable, because you're saying, listen, I failed at this 17 times, and that's why I now can be better at something. I think sometimes people forget, like, we learn most when we fail. Right. We're not great when it's easy. Now, I want to talk about your client base for just a second, because I know your area of expertise really is with attorneys, just because I've watched your success with some of them. I also know you've helped some residential real estate agents. You're not really like category specific, even though I know your sweet spot is, but you have other clients that are not just attorneys. Is that a fair statement?
Yep. Right now, 40% of my clients are non-attorneys.
Yeah, got it. And I would imagine, don't laugh, but if I would almost have my tagline be, well, geez, if I can humanize an attorney, I can humanize anybody. No offense to all the mutual attorneys that are friends of ours, but I would think someone else who's not an attorney would be like, well, geez, if he did that with that attorney, he could do anything with me. I would use that as maybe a potential tagline down the road.
No,
it's not going to happen.
Clever, but no.
Yeah. Let's jump into a little bit of personal for just a few minutes. You recently moved.
Yes.
How is that?
It's good. Yeah. We love living out here.
Yeah.
There's definitely some challenges to it.
Of course.
But overall, we love living out here. Yeah. It's a different experience. It's a different adventure. But it's the right move for us, and we're very confident in regards to that. Is it weird? Like I'm this total creature of habit. Like when you get to meet with my wife again, like there's 74 things I want to do exactly the same way all the time. Is it weird finding the nearest Trader Joe's, and how do you get to Costco? I know that sounds like such a trivial first world problem, but I've recently moved, and it's a little bit weird just trying to figure out where you're going to go and where you do everything and how to get the lay of the land, as silly as that sounds, even though you're still in the United States. For us, it feels like we're on vacation.
Okay.
So you stay at an Airbnb and you're like, we need to go get food. Where are we going to go get food?
Okay, got it.
Oh, where's this? We love Costco. We love Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
We love Sprouts. Like, where is that?
Yeah.
What I struggle with, even today, is routine.
Okay.
Because back when I was in California, in Orange County, I lived there my entire life, other than when I went to college. And you always have this routine. And you add
everything
a little
was
bit
routine,
here,
right?
add a little bit there. And you're just, now I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Should I put this in there? Should I put this in there? Because I'm a routine guy, but I've been tweaking it way too much. I've been way too in my own head.
Yeah.
And it's something that I'm actually working on right now with my former pastor, where we're trying to get because he's so, You would love him. I mean, he is like one of my favorite human beings in the world.
I love that.
And yet he's like, he gets it extremely well. Like he went to ASU, he got his master's at Berkeley, went to Pepperdine, he got his, he went to Fuller Seminary. The guy is extremely, extremely smart, but he gets executives. He understands how we think.
Yeah.
And he's like, you need to have that morning routine because it gets you da 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 da. And I'm like, I'm not getting it. And I called him up. I'm like, I need your help.
Yeah.
Help me with this because I'm all over the board. I'm making decisions every morning. Do I get up or do I not get up? Do I, brush my teeth today or not? Do I shave my head? Do I pop? And it's like, no, you just do your routine.
Yeah.
Therefore, you can leave all the decisions for your job instead of I got to decide all day long. And then by the time 7 o'clock rolls around, I'm exhausted about making decisions. Why? Because I haven't got my shit together.
Okay.
So
hold on. You just brought something up. I want to interject 2 quick things. Number one, there was a recent study, and I can't reference it, where it talks about like how the top 10 CEOs like wear the same shirt every day to a certain degree. So they don't want to have to think about it because they have to make decisions all day. And I've never really heard anyone else kind of elaborate on it how you just did. And it really like sunk in with me, like for people that are operating at that higher level, whatever their job is, the fewer decisions you have to make probably make you a better decision maker, within the goalposts for the day so that before and after you don't really have to, right? So I never really heard it that way until that. So that was great. But I'm going to ask you another question that you kind of alluded to. We hear stories all the time that these top CEOs, these top executives have a coach, have a mentor. Warren Buffett, right? We hear the most successful people all have one. And I was going to ask you, is the pastor kind of the mentor person that you can go to? Or if I'm not getting too personal, because you told me I can ask you anything, does Gary Johnson have a coach?
3.
Wow. That's putting your money where your mouth is. Is that, with your clients especially, I almost think for maybe some of the naysayers, it's like, listen, I'm not just telling you I think you should do it because I'm going to help you win. I do it because I believe in it myself. Is that a fair statement?
100%. I mean, like for instance, I'm doing a webinar tomorrow with one of my coaches. She is my time management coach, and she's just changed dramatically how I look at my schedule. And it goes back to what are the decisions that you're making? It's amazing, absolutely amazing. My pastor is one of my coaches, and he is what I call my moral compass, like keep me on, because like
you need one, that's for sure.
Yeah, but I've not found a church since I've been here, and I'm like, I just haven't found anything that really speaks to me.
Yeah.
And we've also done a crap load of traveling, which is what we wanted to do when we moved here. We were like, we want to travel. That's one of the reasons why we moved out here.
Yeah.
But coaches are like, I love having coaches, and I find a ton of value and ROI on paying them.
Yeah.
Like I used to do free coaches. I'll coach you, you coach me. And I found it didn't work well. Like, I'm going to pay you. If you want to use me as a coach, you'll pay me.
Yeah.
Because then I'm fully invested in, as opposed to, I'm going to blow my coach off this week. I didn't do my stuff. Yeah. And they're supposed to hold you accountable. Well, part of that holding accountable is money. Like, what are you paying me all this money?
Oh my gosh, Gary, that may be the best thing you've said, because I think sometimes people forget how we can invest, right? We want to invest in ourselves because we want to get better. Maybe we've had a traumatic experience. Maybe we just want to grow. Maybe we just want to be better. And I think I love the internet, but one of the problems with the internet is so many people think you can do something without paying for it. And I had this salesperson one time years ago. There's this great software that I still use to this day. And she said, God, I'd really like that. I said, I'm going to buy it for you. It's going to change your life. And when the 1-year renewal came up and the company called me to whack my credit card, I said, oh my gosh, let's renew. What were her badge points? It's this way to kind of measure how much she used it.
Yep.
They said she doesn't have any badge points. I'm like, what do you mean she doesn't have any badge points? But let me tell you what happened. I did not extend it again, and I saved another $600. 3 years later, she was at a different organization. She called me and she says, I owe you $600. And I said, why? She says, I just bought that software and you're right. It changed my life. And it hit me. It hit me. It didn't matter if she wanted to get better. She wasn't invested in it, right? Because I paid the $600 for the first year. And what I love what you said was people have to be able to invest in themselves. And that investment could be investment of time, or you sacrifice, like I got to sacrifice eating if I want to get healthier. I got to sacrifice time with my granddaughter. I got to go to the gym. I got to invest money because then I'm really all in, and I'm probably going to be a little more accountable and a little bit more open. Mm-hmm. If I'm writing Gary Johnson a check every month. And you probably can't get the best out of me, no offense, if I'm not writing you a check and I'm not 100%. All in, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're right on. I mean, it's like, what's the skin in the game?
Yeah.
Do you have skin in the game? Here's another, to the same psychology. We're both improvisers. In my group, I do not allow attorneys that are in big firms to join my improviser group. And the reason why is because the firm is paying for their membership.
Oh my gosh. I've been to your group. I never knew that. I mean, I just never recognized that they weren't big firm attorneys.
No. And the reason why is I've had those people in, and guess what? They don't show up.
They don't.
And then they go, I don't get anything out of it. Of course you didn't get anything out because you didn't put anything into it. I mean, it's a lot like I could watch a YouTube video on how to work out. The chances of me working out is very slim.
Yeah.
Or I could hire a trainer, paying money,
right.
And I'm going to show up.
That's right.
And guess what? I'm going to get results because that guy is going to work the shit out of me. And unless I am just piling on the food, I'm going to get results from that person, right?
Yeah.
So if you actually are serious about getting results, you got to pay for that. You really do, because then you're in it. And then you look back on it, you're like, I got it. It's the other reason why one of my business coaches thinks that I have the worst business model. And he says, you're always looking for new clients, because my whole adage is I want to teach people how to fish instead of giving them fish. And I want to be gone. I want them to soar and take off. I want to watch their lives transform and then say, go and do it. Like, good for you. You don't need me, even though I do have some clients that we meet on a monthly basis, but it's strictly accountability. It's
more
really
of like a follow-up.
That's it. Are you on top of it?
Yeah.
Are you sticking to it? What are maybe some new ideas? But for the most part, I want to see them succeed. I want that. I don't want to be like, okay, you pay me and I'll give you a lead.
Yeah.
You pay me and I'll give you a lead. And that kind of stuff, especially with relationship marketing and when you charge a lot of money for your services, that's, you've got to put it in. You really do.
Oh my gosh. First of all, I love that I can interrupt you anytime I want, because it is my show. So I have the ability to interrupt people.
Is this yours? I thought it was Jeremy's.
Yeah, it is actually. He just lets me be the ugly face and the name on it. I didn't think I was going to say this today because I continue to get surprised with my interviews, because my interviews are my friends.
Yeah.
I swear the amount of time I've spent with you and know you, and we've talked and we've transacted business together, I love learning one more thing about my friends during this. Yes, I want my audience and now your audience to hear more about you, but it's so cool for me because I get to hear like one more thing about one of my friends. I absolutely love that you refuse to help someone that doesn't want to be helped, and you refuse to engage with someone that doesn't want to invest. But the best part about what I just heard from you, even though you have this rough exterior, I know you have a servant's heart, and I know that about you. And number one, I love that you don't promote it. That's one of the best things about having a servant's heart. And it's interesting that your coach would say that, because the little bit about Gary Johnson that I know, you don't want someone to stick around for 7 years unless, they're just continuing and adding team members and you're becoming part of that. But one of the things I love about you is you're like, no, listen, let me help you for this season and then go on your own, and let's do a touch up or a cleanup. There are so many professionals that think that they have to hold on to that client and that they're so impactful in their growth, when in fact, a true, in my opinion, successful coach or a mentor is going to help you through a season in an area that you're not doing great in, and then they want you to go launch on their own. And I would think in your time when you're talking to your client, you're also like, plus you don't want to pay me for 7 years. Don't you want to just,
Right.
It's going to take us 18 to 24 months if you give me everything you got. You only got to pay me for 2 years. I hate to say it. It's another value add, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, totally is. 100%.
Like get in and get out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We've got a couple minutes left. We're going to go all personal now. Ready?
Okay.
What's your biggest fear for your boys? They're adults.
Yeah.
I
would say my biggest fear for them is a lack of happiness and fulfillment.
Yeah. By the way, my kids are 25, 30, and 35. And it's crazy that you say that, because that is a common, I don't want to be the cynical guy who says millennials are ruining everything. It's not the case. But that's a recurring theme with people like you and I in our generation, with kids in that age, is hoping and praying for that joy and that fulfillment. And I'm not saying in what we've done. I've told a few people this. If I ever wrote a book, it would be called Decades. I'm never writing a book, by the way, because how I saw life in my 20s and 30s and 40s and now in my 50s, right? It changes your perspective so much. But that age group, that does seem to be a common thing for parents, mine and your age, of, God, we just want them to have joy and fulfillment and some contentment. Yeah. So yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, especially in this fucked up world that we're in right now, you need to have that hope. You really need to, do that. Like you and me, we understand who's in control.
Right.
But a lot of people don't have that, and I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm just saying that it gives me joy. It gives me fulfillment.
Right.
I just want them to have that. And it looks different. My joy and fulfillment is completely different
100%.
than their joy and fulfillment.
Yeah.
And I want them to find their own, because they are their own. But Julie and I are extremely blessed with both of them because they're not living with us.
I'm gonna text Julie later and give her my favorite line that my wife gets so mad at me because, as you know, my wife and I are recent empty nesters. We moved kind of like you and Julie did, and so people will come over and they'll visit and they'll say, "How's it going? Do you miss the kids?" And my standard answer is, "I love my kids. I'm so glad they're gone." And my wife is like, "Oh no, like I totally want one of them to move back home." I'm like, "Absolutely not. Like they're off the payroll, they're off the teat. Like let's do this thing, you know?"
Yep. Totally true. Julie feels the same way. She's like, if they want to come back, they can.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, they can, but let's not encourage that.
No, let's not encourage. We don't want that at all. Okay. So let's get close to the end on a happier note. Yep. What are you most excited about for the boys? Again, that generation, right? They're not kids anymore. What they have to look forward to. Like, what do you and Julie talk about? Like, what are you excited to watch? What transformation or what story is coming for them?
Yeah, one of the things I'm really excited about is them traveling more. One of the reasons why we went to Amsterdam is because Julie and I, when we look back on our lives, we never took them out of country.
Yeah.
And
you just got back from Amsterdam, right? You just took them out of country.
We just got back from Amsterdam. Yeah. So we had asked them at the beginning of the year, we want to take you international. It's on our dime. I want you to give me 3 places anywhere in the world that you would want to go. And both of them had said Amsterdam and London.
Oh, wow.
We said, let's go. And the reason my Amsterdam is because my mom is from Amsterdam.
Okay.
And so I'm like, they wanted to go back to the motherland. And we're like, okay. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do both because my youngest son didn't have the time off with his work. He couldn't do it. So we just stuck to Amsterdam. But it opened up their minds of going, international travel is not that difficult. And my oldest son is already planning a trip right now. And so you're like, awesome, because I want them to see the world.
Yeah, for sure.
And even though I think that our country is, let's just call it in turmoil in certain aspect or
Of
another.
course.
I still think that this is the greatest country. And the reason why I can confidently say that is because I've been all over the world, and I've seen, first world and third world countries, been in there, experienced those. We've got it pretty freaking good. Like and I want them to experience that so that they can make the decision if I want to move abroad or stay. But it gives them that freedom. It gives them that confidence that says, I can do this.
Yeah, I love
I can
that.
actually do this. And so I want that for them because I know how much that was an impact for me when I was growing up because we travel all the time. But also, we traveled a lot when the kids were young. We would just leave the kids at home.
Yeah, that's right.
They could fend for themselves, put out a bunch of cereal. You're good to go.
Yeah, they'll have Lucky Charms. They'll be fine. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Just make sure it's a big box.
I love that you're doing that because Chris and I are doing something similar. So we're taking the kids, just adult kids, to Yosemite for a week. And then we're talking about next year's trip just because they're adults. They don't need money. My 25-year-old doesn't order chicken nuggets anymore. Now it's like a filet or a ribeye, but we're all together and we're doing that. I got to wrap this up. I made one mistake. What I really wanted to do during our time was publicly announce a wager for the NFL opening day this year when the Broncos play the Titans. So we'll have to do it offline because that's probably an 8-minute conversation of rhetoric back and forth. But I want to tell you something. In just a second, I want to give you an invitation. But I'm grateful for our friendship first and foremost because you know where I come from. I don't care about work. I mean, I need it to eat and feed my granddaughter, but I'm grateful for our friendship. I continue to be surprised when I bring my friends into this environment and I get to learn one more thing about them that maybe we didn't get at a social or a hike that you and I love going hiking together, some of those things. So I'm so grateful that I got to pick up more material for our friendship for the time that we have. So first of all, thank you for just being a great friend. You're always a fan of mine. You're always promoting me and talking about me. And I mean it. I'm not, it's a big deal. The way you talk about me to others, I'm humbled by that. And so I'm grateful for that. So thank you. Thank you for our time. Before we wrap up, I want you to tell people how to reach you. But before you do that, I want to make it clear to the audience that's listening. We only want people to reach you that really want to have an impactful change in their life, right? Who really want to do something big and are willing to invest in that with some time and some talents and some treasures. And so for anybody that does want to reach out to you directly, even though we'll plug you when we put this on Reels and social media, tell people the best way to reach out to you.
The best way is email, GaryJ@j2marketingconsultants.com. However, I would also say connect with me on LinkedIn, because if you look at the post that I put out, it'll give you an idea of what it's like to work together. They get to experience, because I put out videos on a weekly basis, and that's a good way to be like, yeah, I think I could deal with this asshole, or or maybe not, So
well, and yeah. I will affirm that, and you know me, I'm on LinkedIn a lot, and I really like it. I will tell you, what you do on LinkedIn is a different level, and it shows, right? It's one of the reasons for your success. It's one of the reasons why so many people know you, like you, trust you, because what you do put out on there, and it is a great place to start. Gary, tell Julie I need more material, so I talk bad about you at Provisors in the near future. I appreciate our friendship and our time. Thank you for making me laugh and just bringing some impactful stuff so that people can really find maybe a deeper engagement with you.
Oh, no, thank you. I mean, Chris, your friendship means the world to me because you're authentic. You are truly a human. And every single interaction I've ever had with you, you've been amazing. And so thank you. I mean, I truly, truly value our relationship. And I was honored when you're like, yeah, let me do it. Because sometimes I'm like, I really want to do this. I'm like, oh, God, yeah. Let's see what kind of shenanigans we can get going on in this. Well, so no, I mean, truly, thank you.
The good news is I know you, and you don't do something you don't want to do. So when you said yes, I knew that you were okay doing it. So hey, listen, man, I appreciate and love you, brother. I really do. Continued success on helping people transform their lives. I'm super happy for you and Julie and the recent move, and can't wait to hear more travels. And I know we'll talk soon. I appreciate you, buddy. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
If you want to hear more about Gary and his incredible talents and gifts for his firm at J2 Marketing, I mean, you can tell he's passionate about helping people. You can tell like he's all in, and he can't be all in if you're not all in. And I've watched him help people transform their lives, not just from a business perspective, but from a human perspective. Please reach out to him directly. As you can tell, he's a dear friend, and he's super talented at what he does. So reach out to Gary. You'll be really happy that you did. Thanks for visiting my podcast. Let me tell you a quick story. We'll look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks.